know you guys flew in this afternoon, literally like an hour ago. They landed and came over here straight away, so it's dedication, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we do have Ty joining us remotely, so we have some questions prepared for him. But I know you're working on NiftyMedia Art. It's a great platform, a blockchain platform where a lot of artists of any kind can actually join in and show their art and own their art. But before we get into what you're building, let's get into who you guys are and why you're building this. So I want to know a little bit about what you were doing before blockchain, before ever hearing about it, and your story of getting into that. So we can start with Ty first, so I know he's online.
Hey, Boston Blockchain, how y'all doing? My name is Tyquane Wright. I am a look development artist from Brooklyn, New York, originally, and currently living in Vancouver, British Columbia, where I am right now. I am an artist that is always working on projects, and my latest project is called Graffiti Heroes. I am going to release that soon, and I hope everyone is here to enjoy it, and please stay tuned to hear more about it later. Thank you.
Thank you, Ty. Now, Dan, I want to know a little bit about what you were doing before ever hearing about blockchain.
Yeah, before blockchain and Bitcoin all came out, we were, I was working at CNBC. I was CNBC's executive creative director and executive producer for development. So I was there to launch new programming. So I was one of the people who were part of the initial team that launched Mad Money with Jim Cramer, Fast Money Options Action. And prior to, current virtual, as we called it, virtual currency back in the day, nobody was covering it. However, we took an interest in it in Fast Money, and we were covering it pretty much weekly. Then it became daily. And then, as you notice, like CNBC put Bitcoin in the lower bug bar on the current price. So before that, we just saw it as a great opportunity to do something that nobody else was doing. So we were pretty excited about that.
I feel like I remember that day I was like watching Fast Money, or like I saw on Reddit, Bitcoin on the ticker of CNBC, look at that, Bitcoin's becoming known and popular. So that's pretty exciting when that did happen, and that's awesome you're a part of that forefront.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, Max Myers, he is big into Bitcoin as well, and then of course we have Anthony Scaramucci with the network. I'm no longer with them, but he's a big part of crypto. Had Crypto Bahamas not too long ago, so nice. Yeah, it's exciting.
Pat, what about you? What were you doing before ever hearing about Bitcoin?
I've spent the last couple decades in sync, which is kind of piggybacking on the last panelist, but licensing music to TV, film, advertising, and general media. And Dan and I had met, I guess it was a little over a decade ago, through a possible project at CNBC. And I was a little later to the party, but again, I found the last panel fascinating because having been in sync and publishing for the last 2 decades, there's a lot of things that are broken, and crypto seemed to be an opportunity to do things correctly. And again, same idea of giving the artist their share and trying to speed up the process. So it's exciting on the music side to see opportunities to fix some of the many downfalls of the current system. So that's what got me excited about it, and kind of was able to hook up with Dan and become involved in NiftyMedia as in the music arena and the music licensing area.
Nice. And were you always on the looking out for the latest tech, or was this someone else like, look at Bitcoin, shove it in your face, and you got excited about it?
As far as tech goes, always fairly involved because we have a cranky CTO at our company that's constantly signing up for new and expensive services. Yeah. So on that sense, I've always been interested from the financial perspective, and as well as efficiency on our various platforms. But when Bitcoin broke, to me, it was once I saw that it wasn't just Bitcoin, right? And that there was an entire other universe out there that had all these possibilities. That's what I think fascinated me, to see that this could be, again, whether it's Web3 or attaching new technology to existing, whether it's publishing or sync, that's the thing that I think gets me the most excited.
Nice. And what about you, Dan? How did you feel when you first heard about like Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies? Did it start like jogging in your mind, oh, this is going to change money? Or is this because Fast Money was telling you to put it on and like, all right, I'm just doing my job. I don't really know what this is about until...
Well, I thought virtual currency, because that's what it was called at the time, I thought it was dead. I didn't think it would make it. I really didn't. However, it is an interesting story to cover. In 2015, there's a national security report that was national security implications of virtual currencies. Mm-hmm. And after reading that, I thought, okay, there's no way the United States government is going to let virtual currencies, non-state actors, have access to controlling money supply or whatnot. So I really didn't think it would have too much of a life. And as working for a news network that covers financials, CNBC actually has a policy for employees that we're not allowed to invest in anything. So I had no real interest. I'm like, I can't make money, I can't invest. But I didn't think it would survive.
Yeah.
But once it got past the 2016 election, I was like, okay, it has life. I still can invest though. So it was phenomenal to see the meteoric rise from really 2017, a little bit of a pause in 18, 19, then 2020, 2021, just stratospheric.
Yep.
Everyone's to the moon. and then you're seeing this harsh drop. So yeah, so my first instinct was it was a great story with great technology to cover. Mm-hmm. However, I thought the technology was something that could go somewhere, not the virtual currency or the cryptocurrency.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the most exciting part about blockchain tech for me is the technology itself, self-sovereignty, data ownership, and people get kind of stuck on the money part about it and watch the price go up and down, but it's the builders like us who are here building now that actually drive that adoption and use case of blockchain technology. And I'd also love to hear from Ty, too, what his first experience with blockchain was.
Great.
So when I first heard about cryptocurrency, I felt unsure about it. I have a coworker in coworkers in general that always are on top of the latest in technology and trends. And one of the trends back in 2010 was buying digital currency, Bitcoin, and just Bitcoin back then. And I had no foresight. The person that was telling me about it had all the foresight. He's an amazing investor. He's always on top of things, or at least putting his foot in the water when it comes to new technology and new ideas. But yeah, I was willing to wait until other people were on board, or if the process of acquiring it was easier, maybe I would have been on board. But I felt like it was so complicated. And that's my story about how I felt about digital currencies or cryptocurrencies when I first heard about Bitcoin.
Yeah, and it's definitely a scary thing to like invest in, because if you don't research the tech behind it, you have kind of no idea what you're putting your money into. But now that you guys are evolving in this industry, watching it grow, being part of it, I want to know a little bit about what you've learned in your experience, and also what like crypto pet peeves you have that you've developed over the years. Dan, you can start.
Okay, sure. Well, it's exciting technology. So much use cases for all different aspects of it. And that's where, picking up on what Greg said in the last panel about really getting artists involved, we believe that, what we're doing at NiftyMedia Art is designed by artists for artists. We have Wright, who won an Academy Award for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and the Golden Globe. Hopefully he'll win another with Spider-Man Into the Multiverse.
It's a great movie. I love that movie.
But with my time with Ty, working with him at CNBC and then developing that relationship, and then with all the other relationships we have with Josh Stevens, who is part of LMFAO, and Shafiq Hussein and Akuma Matsuda, bringing all the artists together to create something special, to be able to get them involved into taking back some of the control from the artist standpoint. But my pet peeves, I mean, the constant my crypto blockchain's better than your crypto blockchain is annoying. You know, I think what I like about Algorand is that they believe that, you know, the blockchains can exist for other reasons, and then can be a crossover and work together opposed to against each other. I think is really smart, and I like that Algorand's a green blockchain. So I guess the pet peeve is the back and forth of whose tech is going to win. I think we all can win. And then, of course, the short sellers in crypto taking a nice bull run and back and forth. But I think that happens with any emerging market. We know this. Right now, we're in a pretty solid correction. Hopefully, we're at the end of that, and we can move forward. So really, it's your short sellers, your market, you know, people messing with the market, and then your people not working together is the biggest pet peeve.
Exactly. And Pat, for you, I know being in music, kind of working with different industries and different album covers and record studios, blockchain must have been like a breath of fresh air for you, but being in it, there's got to be something that maybe you can relate back to Web 2 would be nice, but.
Yeah, I would say, I guess the one deficiency or the one negative that I see is kind of the fact that when you're dealing with artists right now that are used to Web 2, they're used to a traditional model, it's the explanation, right? It's to get their heads around this new idea. And a lot of them see some of the negative press. When you have to explain it to them, which you want to do, you want to make sure you explain the value and the necessity for these new opportunities. But there's also skepticism and there's some blowback or pushback, I should say. So I would say, like anything else, there's going to be growing pains with new technology. So I think the negative is also the positive in that there's so many opportunities. So when something isn't set in stone, and especially on the music side, when we're still establishing, again, as what they spoke about on the last panel, traditional models that are now adapted to blockchain, again, I think that's an enormous plus, but it's also the difficulty of it's not established yet. So, and all of that does go back to smart contracts and the legal and copyright and making sure that everything that as this progresses, it's done correctly. And the artist has, again, I don't mean to keep piggybacking, but I found the last panel fascinating for that reason, because if you want to give artists, if you want them to have more value than they have previously or they had before, you want to make sure it's done correctly. So I think that's what's exciting, but also if there's a difficulty, it's just making sure it's established correctly.
Exactly, and that's a great thing that you guys did all meet each other and building NiftyMedia Art to help artists. And I want to know more about the story of how you all met, and I want to hear also from Ty how he met you guys too.
I got started at NiftyMedia Art in 2021. Dan Hoffman and Fabs approached me. Dan Hoffman first just asked me if I was interested in NFTs and that he was building a team of people and experts that would help create a marketplace for artists and by artists. I am not a business person. so when I was approached by them to engage in business and think about this kind of marketplace, I thought it was an honor, honestly. And that really just drove me to just start designing. So when I got started, I was just on calls, using my imagination and thinking about apps like Spotify and Robinhood, just apps that were well designed and maybe how a marketplace app might look if it was designed. So that's my connection to NiftyMedia. Right now, with the future of NiftyMedia, is really about just getting more artists. on board and seeing more art from those artists. So if there are any artists like me, I'd imagine that maybe you don't know a music producer, but in the future on a platform like NiftyMedia, you might be directly engaged with a producer that wants to now come out with an album that doesn't normally rap or sing. And you may talk directly to that producer that you will make an album cover for because you're part of that community. Everybody is accessible. And I think that art should be accessible. And that's the future of NiftyMedia. I think that there's nothing stopping Nifty from reaching a larger audience. And we have to think about that. We have to think about what is going to engage people as the market trends up. I'm excited about the future. So when I was asked about what is the future of NiftyMedia, it's just an infinite amount of possibilities. And that infinity threat is what makes me excited.
Awesome. And I know, Ty's an award-winning artist, and having him on your team is probably very helpful. And I wanted to know more about how you met with him and how you got him on the team.
Yeah, so I can't say enough about Ty. He's phenomenal. One of the kindest souls and hardest working people I met is definitely why I wanted him on the team. I was approached by a friend from high school who worked with Fabs, our leader and CEO, to talk about blockchain and about NFTs. And first of all, his name, Fabio Italiano. I'm like, I got to meet this guy. And so when I first met him, I was like, I don't know you, but because your name's Fabio Italiano, we're going to be best friends, just so I can introduce you at parties. But he turned out to be a really solid guy, so organized, comes from the consulting world, so he knows how to put the decks together and really organize a team. And so as we got to talk, and he said, do you know any artists? I'm like, of course. Lots of them. And I reached out to Ty, and Ty had, we're very lucky. Ty had like 4 or 5 projects on his plate that he was entertaining. And I spoke to him for a couple hours one night, and I thought I had a pretty good pitch. And then talked to him about a week later, and he's like, you know what, Dan, I'm going to invest my energy and time with you and Nifty. And then I introduced him to Fabs and a few other people we were talking with. And from that point, I think that was the kind of spurt growth. And then at the same time, Josh Stevens, who's a member of LS plus B, a band, but he's won Grammys. He recently won an Emmy with Lizzo's show. I forgot the name, the Big Girl show, which is amazing because winning an Emmy in music is kind of harder than a Grammy because there's only a few music Emmys,
absolutely.
right?
Sure, yeah.
And speaking with a guy by the name of Bob Cutarella, who's a legend in the music industry, he's like, he's won many Grammys and has over 150 platinum records or platinum songs. He's like, I cried when I got my Emmy.
Yeah, so, I would too.
Yeah. So then Fabs worked with Imran Khan, who's our third co-founder. Imran Khan worked in big media from Disney, WB, and Fox Studios. So his background in the dev side was paramount. So as soon as we got Ty, Imran came aboard as our co-founder, and which is what's making this all possible because Imran's company, Fujitron, has over 200 employees worldwide,
wow.
worldwide on the dev side.
Wow.
And so he's made it available for us to bootstrap what we're doing and continue to do so. So it's not every day you get that kind of power where, to even get off the ground, you have to raise millions of dollars just to get to that point. Mm-hmm. And we're, I'll speak about it in a little bit, but we're getting to close to launching our app that we've been working on for a little over a year now.
Wow.
And then with Pat,
Yeah.
so on the music side with Josh Stevens and LS plus B is really understanding the licensing and publishing side and all the rights that go into music. Now, working in television, music rights is the last thing I ever want to be involved with because when I was at ESPN, we were doing a show called the ESPN Action Sports and Music Awards, and having to hunt down, getting approvals for a song that had multiple writers on it. I think there's a sample of Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pretty Little Ditty, for that. I forgot the name of the song, but either way, it had too many people and chasing everything. It's a legal nightmare. And so Pat approached me probably about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And we met at CNBC, had a great conversation about his boutique music business that he was building, and has done a phenomenal job over the last 10 years. It's grown so much. We didn't do a deal together at the time, but he was memorable at what he was doing. And so I reached out to him, a cold call, really.
Yeah.
And said, you want to get involved in blockchain and NFTs? We need somebody with your expertise and contracts. And he's probably 10,000 contracts or more of licensing, publishing, sync.
Yeah.
And so having that aspect, to have somebody with that kind of experience, knowledge, and a whole group, hundreds of artists underneath him on exclusive music was kind of that key in the music range. Because to be honest, I want to be more images and video because that's easier and less legal hassle. But until we really, when we got Pat on board, I knew it was possible. And
That's I mean, you summed it up. And I think just from my end, it was nice that decades of dealing with publishing and the headaches and legalities of music licensing and publishing, to be able to put that to good use and new use with new technology. And also, I mean, you had touched on it before with album covers. The fact that the marriage of art and music and the utility that can be gained from that, right? And the revenue that can be gained from that. New revenue in terms of, whether it's fans being investors or, owners of music NFTs. There's all those components, and it's exciting, and I think that's where it's kind of a Reese's peanut butter cup moment of, well, you have this, I have this. If we put it together, put our heads together, we can create something new and something of value. So that's why it was a pleasure. It's exciting because of the technology. It's also, I mean, we're still running the company, but it's also it's something that I see as the future, and it was a great. I just think it was a fortuitous DM, in the LinkedIn DM, because it was like, because we had, I think, liked different posts back and forth, but as soon as I learned more about the company, it was also the impetus to just become much more schooled in blockchain, and I think that was the thing that had done it, and then I got my team excited about it, and kind of some of our marquee artists that are excited about creating for this. So yeah, it was a wonderful call, and I'm glad to be on board in the music capacity and watching things grow.
That's amazing. And you both are working in very intense industries, and now you're adding another intense industry of blockchain. And I'm wondering, how do you keep your sanity sometimes, or just get out of the blockchain world and kind of take your mental space, self-care time? What do you do for hobbies and helping out with that?
Well, I think in just overall management, I think we're all doers and entrepreneurs. So we have that, spark that we're all trying to ignite something beyond our day jobs in corporate. And we also have our other advisor, Colonel Jim Rignor of the U.S. Air Force, retired. He's a great leader. He's a blockchain instructor at MIT. That's where we got to know him through Fabs. And Jim he's just a great center point for focus and leadership. He just wrote a book on leadership and continues to advise us on how we can be better, making great introductions across the board. He's got a supply chain company that he's running, Vertex. It's called Vertex, and it's for airplane parts because he's a pilot.
Makes sense.
and with that said, he's authenticating that these parts are real. And he's got a whole backstory that we'll hear about as we grow. But having his leadership is great. And I think hobbies, it's really entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Once you're in it, you just love to just get full force into it. It's great.
I mean, of course, then traditional like hobbies, snowboarding, that's what kind of brought me to the East Coast from snowboarding out at Crested Butte, going to college, and that's when X Games kind of came into the picture, and then I went full time to Connecticut, and one thing led to another. But yeah, so and then I think we're all trying to manage our spouses because we're on
family life,
we're on
business
late
life.
night calls all night long, and I just have I have a 9-month-old, so it makes it even more challenging.
I used to
But
help
it makes
keep
it
you
worth it.
What about you, Pat?
I mean, it's, again, a similar scenario. I mean, I think the one, when you work in media, there's, particularly in music, there's so many different aspects right now, revenue-wise, in music, at least for on the sync side. So you're constantly shifting, right, between whether it's, for us, it's TV, if it's advertising, or it's streaming now. So it's actually almost healthy for the brain to kind of continue to shift. So you're not stuck in the mire of just publishing all day long. When you're able to kind of apply that or leave that and then go into a new opportunity, it keeps your brain working. And I think it's just something that, like Dan had mentioned, when you're in media, it almost expects that from anyone involved in it. You almost have to be prepared for that and ready to do the work and ready to shift. And even as Dan has mentioned, I know with my wife, she's used to the, like, whether we're on vacation or, because I mean, I think anyone that's even the slightest bit entrepreneurial, when people that aren't, and you're on vacation or if you're with friends, they'll look at you and say, "Can't you just put it down for a week?" And it's like, again, I understand that if you have a traditional job, but it's like, no, there's no, I mean, you're constantly, that's what's wonderful about it, but I guess it could be a difficulty, but that's the thing. I think it's just your brain is programmed that way, and I think it's really fueled by excitement.
Yeah,
trying to then kind of connect all the dots and figure out a path forward.
The constant engagement of seeing what's going on. And as you're into this industry more and more and seeing what's happening in a broader spectrum, I want to know quickly, what is a wholesome crypto moment that you've recognized or been through in this industry? Something that's like heartwarming that happened or you witnessed that you really appreciate?
Yeah, well, bringing the team together, people like Pat that I met a long time ago, and then, I have a couple other people that are artists that I have now a reason to have more conversations, like Tony Steele, who's out of New York City. She's a hip hop artist. We did something back in maybe 2011, and if you're not doing something current with someone, it kind of peters out. And then Rob Hoffman, he's going to release his first single, most likely early next year.
Wow.
And through Josh Stevens and Akuma and Shafiq, they've been able to take somebody who has the talent, record a session, and then help build them along. And then we had, I think the wholesome moment was we brought everybody together at the Soho home store, like Soho House in New York, for kind of a kickoff event. And we had Lauren Wixom perform, as well as Tony Steele. And then we also had on our second event, Anna Storm, who won 3 Emmys for the Lizzo show. and they did it as favors. And because they do believe that we're a for artists, by artists platform, that our kind of motto is don't be greedy, be bold. And we're trying to build something special. So that's, I think the wholesome moment is building a community of people who want to further their art.
Amazing.
Ditto. Same. I mean, to be fortunate enough to be involved, and then to see that, that this team has so many different directions and incorporates so many different areas of art. And I think I have to say the same thing, that it was like, it was just a wonderful. I guess, affirmation to say all this stuff that was done before can be informing what's to come. So I think that learning more about Nifty, getting hooked up with Dan and the team, I'd say that was it. I mean, I could also say for me personally, it was when I just thought it was Bitcoin like years ago, and then when I actually took the time to start listening to or watching YouTube videos, and I was like, oh. So I think for me that would be the first thing, and then that kind of went hibernated, and then when there was a reason to learn more about it, I think I would have to say the same thing as Dan, just to be involved and to see a path forward with it.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we're exploring one of the cool things that we're doing is we've created and provisional patent moving to patent pending on physical NFTs. We basically created 3D printed gold pendant with Ty's art on it, and through that you take your phone to the pendant, and it will unlock our app, which we're the first to do it.
Yeah.
And we believe our patent will hold strong and get approved in the near future. But that's because we see it as, like Pat said, the album artwork, but to show that art, people want to show off the album cover or show they own music or art or painting or digital art, and you have to show it on your phone. So by having physical art that is an NFT that reads, that you can authenticate through your phone, goes back to the blockchain, and now you have the digital twin online, and then you also have the physical piece that you can either wear around your neck or any other version of jewelry or physical items that allows us to authenticate through our technology.
Amazing. You're just bringing a bunch of different technologies and just bringing it together for the new age. It's amazing.
Yeah, and Fabio and Imran.
And I know you have, I think, another announcement about what's going on with Nifty. I'd love to hear more about what you're bringing.
Sure. So we're excited to announce that with Ty Wright, that we're going to be releasing our generative art series. We're announcing our mint date as 10/10, October 10th this year. We're going to release Graffiti Heroes. It's a phenomenal 10,000 piece collection that Ty has spent probably the 9 months, night and day working on around his work schedule. And what we love about it is Ty goes back, going back to his Brooklyn days, we said, we want a story. We just don't want art that, has no meaning. So he came back to us with these characters that people in his neighborhood would be spray painted up on a wall of people who were like leaders in the community. So business owners, people who supported people at the laundromat, whatnot. And so multiple names came about, and we're like, these guys are heroes. These girls are heroes. We have Aunt Giv, we have Gino, we have Lotto. So 4 different characters that are generative art, and through Imran's technology to be able to really make all those layers and come together. I think it's sick. So we're excited to support Ty and launch Graffiti Heroes. We think it's going to be very competitive. From some of my friends in the art world who've seen previews of it, they get it. They see certain inspirations, like the curl, which you'll know who he's resembling as we reveal stuff. But a lot of great stuff, a lot of little things in there. And then following that on our roadmap, we're going to tease Dave Warren, Toon the Maker. He's a Simpsons animator, Pinky and the Brain. I think he won an Emmy for Pinky and the Brain, and the Minions. We'll be releasing Lonely Socks Social Club. But yeah, so the mint date, Graffiti Heroes, October 10th, 2022. We're excited.
I'm excited too. Thank you so much, and thank you again for joining me on this panel again. And thank you, Ian, for having us on here. So appreciate you guys, and I appreciate what Nifty is doing, and I hope this, has smashing success.
Thank you to Wholesome Crypto. Thank you to Boston Blockchain Week and Cubic Labs. We're more than thrilled to be a part of this community and to keep growing the the blockchain community.
Thank you.